Commander Vextal of the Crithian Dominion stood on the observation deck of the Eternal Conquest, his 4 eyes scanning the endless void of space with practiced confidence. For 3 centuries, the Crithian fleet had swept through this sector of the galaxy, crushing every civilization that dared resist their expansion. Their ships were sleek, efficient, and powered by quantum-fold drives that made them the fastest armada in known space. Today would be no different. The humans, a primitive species that had only recently achieved faster than light travel, had refused to surrender their colony worlds. Vextal found their defiance amusing, almost endearing in its futility. Target acquired, announced his tactical officer. 1 human vessel detected at the edge of the system. It appears to be ... stationary. Vextal's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Only 1 ship. These humans are even more foolish than our intelligence suggested. Prepare to engage. Let us make an example of his words died in his throat as the sensor readings updated. The holographic display flickered, struggling to render the complete dimensions of what it was detecting. Commander Zarasin's voice trembled. Something Vextal had never heard in 20 years of service together. The vessel, it's 12 kilometers long. Silence fell across the bridge like a physical weight. 12 kilometers. The Eternal Conquest, pride of the Crithian fleet, measured barely 800 meters from bow to stern. That's impossible, Vextal whispered. Nothing that large could possibly maintain structural integrity, let alone achieve FTL capability. But as the human vessel rotated slowly to face them, reality proved more terrifying than impossibility. The Battleship 4, what else could such a monstrosity be, was a brutalist masterpiece of human engineering. Where Crithian ships were elegant curves and flowing lines, this was all hard angles, reinforced plating, and geometric intimidation. Its hull was scarred and pitted, evidence of countless battles survived. Visual confirmation coming through, Zarasin reported, and the main view screen blazed to life. The human battleship unscathed Prometheus hung in space like a slumbering titan. Gun batteries the size of frigate ships protruded from its flanks in neat, deadly rows. Point defense turrets, hundreds of them, studied its surface like scales on a predator. And along its dorsal spine, 4 massive railgun cannons stretched toward the heavens, each barrel wide enough to fly a shuttle through, energy signatures spiking. The weapons officer called out, "They're charging weapons, all weapons." Vextal's training finally overrode his shock. Evasive maneuvers, launch fighter wings, all ships scatter formation. But the humans had already accounted for that. The Prometheus didn't need to aim carefully when it fired. The first railgun discharge lit up space like a newborn star, and a tungsten carbide slug the size of a cargo container crossed the distance between ships at a significant fraction of light speed. The projectile missed Eternal Conquest by 300 meters intentionally, Vextal realized with mounting horror. It obliterated the cruiser Shadow Wing positioned behind them instead. The ship simply ceased to exist, transformed from a functional warship into an expanding cloud of superheated vapor in less than a second. Communication incoming from the human vessel, his communications officer reported, her voice barely above a whisper. On screen, a human face appeared, angular features, forward-facing predator eyes, and an expression of cold calculation. The human female wore a uniform decorated with symbols Vextal didn't recognize, but instinctively understood meant authority earned through combat. "I am Admiral Chen of the United Nations Space Command," the human said, her voice carrying an edge that could cut through hull plating. "You are in violation of human sovereign space. You have destroyed 17 of our colonies. You have killed 2 million human civilians." Vextal found his voice. "We are the Crithian Dominion. We have conquered 200 worlds." "You cannot. 200 worlds," Admiral Chen interrupted. "Of species that had never seen war on the scale humans practice it. We've been killing each other with ever-increasing efficiency for 10,000 years, Commander. We've refined it to an art form. Nuclear fire, chemical weapons, kinetic bombardment. We've done it all to ourselves before we ever reached the stars." She leaned forward, and Vexthal saw something in those eyes that made his blood run cold. Not anger, not hatred, just the calm, professional assessment of a butcher examining livestock. "You wanted to know why we build ships this size. Because we learned a long time ago that in war there's no such thing as overkill. There's only open fire and reload." The Prometheus fired again, and again, and again. The railguns thundered in sequence, each shot precisely calculated, each target eliminated with mathematical efficiency. Crithian ships tried to run, but they were designed for conquest, not escape. Human interceptor, craft small, vicious things, poured from the battleship's launch bays like angry hornets, their missiles tearing through Crithian shields as if they were tissue paper. Vextal watched his fleet die. 300 ships, the finest the Dominion could field, reduced to debris in less than 20 minutes. His own ship shuddered as human fighters strafed its engines, not destroying it, but crippling it, leaving it helpless. "Why?" he asked the screen, though Admiral Chen had already cut the transmission. "Why spare us?" As if in answer, another human vessel appeared on sensors, this one even larger, its profile suggesting a carrier or troop transport. The answer became clear. They were spared not out of mercy, but as witnesses. The humans wanted someone to return home and tell the Crithian Dominion what awaited them if they ever threatened humanity. Again, Commander Vextal looked out at the debris field. That had been his fleet, and understood with crystal clarity what the rest of the galaxy would soon learn. Humans didn't build weapons. They built monuments to the concept of overwhelming force. And they had only just begun to teach the stars what war truly meant. The Prometheus turned away, its engines igniting with a blue-white fury that seemed to burn the very fabric of space. In its wake, it left only wreckage and a terrified commander who would spend the rest of his days wondering how his species had been so foolish as to wake sleeping giants.